Alright, in this video we are going to be working on section 3-1 and 3-2 word problems. You should have already written down in your note sheet what was up on the board. And for word problems in 3-1, we're going to be talking about squares. If we are talking about squares, it will be an x raised to the second power math problem. They will also be talking about area. So in the word problem, they will give you the area, and we're going to use that to set up our equation. If it is a cubed problem, the shape that we'll be using, or that they'll be talking about, are cubes. Okay? And they will give you the volume. Volume with cubes, area with squares. So let's look at a couple. Okay, so a company makes small custom design stamps that have a square image area. The image area has an area of 3,624 millimeters squared. They want us to tell them what is the exact length of one side of the image. And we need to approximate your answer to the nearest tenth of a millimeter. So we are going to be looking for our keywords within the question, within the problem. So first of all, it tells us that we're working with a square. So automatically, if we're working with a square, we're going to be using the equation that has a square in it, x squared. They've given us the area. Okay? So to set up our equations so that we find one side length, we're going to take x squared. You can use any variable you want. Take x squared. Okay, so since we're talking about a square and they've given us the area, we're going to take x squared and set it equal to 3,624.
You are dismissed.
Okay, so we have x squared equals 3,624 because that's our area. So we're going to solve it the exact same way we've been solving it for the last 2 days, okay? So we have to take the square root to get rid of the exponent of 2. I have x equals, you're going to type that into your calculator. So square root of 3,624, and it tells me to round our answer to the nearest tenth. So I get 60.2. Now usually if the exponent is 2, we would have two answers, the positive answer and the negative answer. But because we're talking about measurement of an actual object, we can't have negative measurements. So it is just going to be the positive answer. So we get 60.2, and we have to label it. So it's millimeters. So one side length of that square is 60.2 millimeters. Okay, so let's look at another one. So we're looking for our keywords. We're looking for it to either tell us square or area, or we're looking for cube or volume. That'll tell us which equation to use. So a square painting has an area of 460 centimeters squared. What is the length of one side of the painting to the nearest tenth of a centimeter? So it tells us which type of object. So we're talking about a square, and it tells us the area. So we're going to set up our equation. So I'm going to use p squared equals the area of 460. And then I need to solve it. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And it tells me to round to the nearest tenth. So I get 21.4. And since we're talking about an actual object, it can only have one answer. So one side length of that painting is 21.4 centimeters. Make sure you round correctly. An aquarium in the shape of a cube has a volume of 1,256 cubic inches. What is the exact length of one side of the aquarium? Approximate our answer to the nearest tenth of an inch. So it tells us that the aquarium is in the shape of a cube, and it tells us our volume. So we know we're going to be working with an x cubed problem. So to find our side length, x is going to be our side length, x cubed equals our volume. And then we need to solve this equation to find out what one side of the aquarium would be measured. The opposite of cubing a number is cube rooting it. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I take the cube root of 1,256, and it tells me to approximate my answer to the nearest tenth. So I get 10.78. The 8 tells me to round my 7 up, so I get 10.8. And my label is inches. So one side of that aquarium is 10.8 inches. All right, let's do one more. A mailing carton in the shape of a cube has a volume of 684 cubic inches. What is the length of one side of the carton to the nearest tenth of an inch? So since we're talking about a cube, and it tells us the volume, we're going to be working with a cubed problem. So you set it equal to the volume, and you solve. To get rid of the cube on the exponent, I have to cube root both sides. When I do that and round to the nearest tenth of an inch, I get 8.8 inches. If at any point you need to go back and re-watch this, okay, re-listen to it, you can always rewind and go back and listen and watch me work through one of the problems.